Hi, and welcome to our low poly grass modelling lecture. So, what we've got here, these are the three images we rendered out using our high detailed models. And all I've done with these is change the names. I'll put vegetation on the front, and I've just changed the diffuse name so it's called albedo, just to keep it all consistent and we know exactly what it is. So we've got these three. We probably won't use the normal maps. I'm going to go in, when we get into Unity, we'll have a look at that. We're going to use the alpha here in Max to just to alpha out and see what it looks like in Max. And this is obviously the key one, albedo. Okay, so here's Max. I've loaded in our scale box, so it's so we've got the right scale all set up. So that's approximately a meter high. Well, it is a meter high in Unity. So our tallest grass, so that's sort of kind of waist height perhaps for a human. So we probably want grass, we want it to give it some real presence. So I'd say the tallest grass, well, you can make yours as tall as you like, but we probably want it up around here somewhere, from tall to sort of short. We can always tweak it once we get it into Unity anyway, so it's not although I don't like doing that too much because I like to get it right at source and then I know it's correct throughout. Okay, so the first thing to do is make a plane and make it completely square, so it doesn't matter about size for now. There we go, and we're going to turn off snap. I'm going to make this 1 and 1. So it's just a plain old square with one polygon and two triangles. Okay, so we'll get it up on its side. It's just front. Let's just turn it around so we can see. Let's just make that shading. 180 is just object properties. Turn on backface cull there because I want to see if it's the right way around. Go to the back, won't be able to see. Okay, that's fine. Properties. I mean, like I explained before, Unity does have a shader that will render both sides. It's particularly used for vegetation. So we'll see how that goes. We'll set it all up and see what it looks like once we get it into Unity. So let's just take this up. It's not quite rotated enough, so just make sure it's fully rotated. There you go. And make sure it's sitting at 0. So we want to see what our grass looks like. Let's get the pivot point down at 0. Right click on the select and move icon and just 0 these values like that. Okay. Okay, right then. Now what we're going to do is bring in our albedo and we're going to apply it to this plane here. So go to your materials editor. Click on this one, which is, I make it a standard. It should already be a standard. Just go down to your maps. Click on diffuse here and go and find your vegetation albedo map. So click on this, select bitmap and go and find your albedo map. So we put it in meshes, vegetation, textures. So we want this one here, vegetation albedo map. Open. We're going to apply it to this plane, so make sure that plane's selected. Click on this here, assign material to selection. And so come along here and make sure you've got show shaded material in viewport selected, and you'll see it appear. Now it's obviously going the wrong way, but we can fix that. Next, go back out to your maps, and we're going to use our alpha map just to show us the alpha. But opacity here, click on that, click on bitmap and select your alpha map, open, and in here select monochannel output alpha, like that, and make sure when you go back into default, make sure you reselect this as it's, and you should see the alpha come through. Now we can either rotate, tell you what we'll do, we're going to UV map it very quickly. So select UV map, and let's see if it will view align. Yep, okay, so we need to press, make sure it's in the front view, then view align, and then fit. Right click, collapse all. Yes, because we don't need that on our stack. And there it is, there's our grass pieces. It won't show through unless we turn on, turn off backface cull like that. See, and there's a good example of how the lighting kind of doesn't work quite right when you got just one-sided. It's quite bright that side, it's very dark on that side. But Unity will cater for that, so in its vegetation shader. So now we have this, let's save it so we have a starting point. So go to save as, vegetation folder, and in the root, don't want scale 1 unit, we want vegetation. Let's just put an O1 at the start of that because we may have various files like this. So vegetation 1 just for now, that's fine. Just move that over slightly. Right, now we're going to cut this up basically, turn it into a editable poly like that, and we're going to edge mode. We're going to go to Swiftly and see what we can do here with this. Okay, so we're going to cut down there, and we're going to cut along there. Cut along there. Cut down here. Now don't worry about going through plants because we can move all this around in a minute. We're just doing our main sort of edges. Cut along there. Cut along there. Okay, so now we can cut down our leaves. These should have been closer together really, but that's fine, it doesn't matter, because then we could have fit more in. So just trim these as close as you can, like that, along the bottom. Okay, right, so now we're going to select them. Let's start here. Hold down Shift and pull that away. And we've got a separate object. And we're going to call that dead grass 01. And there we have it. We've got a dead grass. And we can adjust this. And we can adjust the edges because you can see at the top there I've got some the above grass peeking through. So let's just select this one, select vertex mode, and if you come down here somewhere, edit vertices, where it says preserve UVs down here, tick that box. So now we can move these around and the UVs will just, I can do this and it won't affect them. So that's pretty cool. And what we might also do is just trim it back even further. So if we can pull this down, for example, further. Okay, so the thing you got to think about now is polygons versus transparency, because even though there's nothing there, here, when Unity renders this, it still has to calculate and not to render anything. So the more of this space there is, the more calculations it's got to do. So if we can get rid of some of this space, that's always a good thing. However, if we add more polygons, again, that increases render time, because every one polygon you add to one piece of grass is probably 1,000 polygons, because you're going to have 1,000 pieces of this grass in your scene. So you got to think about, that's a question for your technical artist or your technical director to answer that kind of question. If ask him, do you want me to trim these so there's less transparency, or is it fine like that? Or will adding more polygons make a difference? So it's really up to the engine you use, and it's really up to your project, really. Maybe you haven't got that much grass and it won't really matter too much, but if you've got a lot of grass, it will have an impact. So for us, I'm going to split that down the middle there. So I'm going to, just to give us some, so I'm going to swift loop just down the middle there where that peak is. Just do that and then come back to my verts. Make sure I've still got preserve, and I can save some here, so I can pull that down and down and down just as it hits that, and I could probably pull it in a bit as well, like that. So not only that, I might want to bend this in a minute, so we'll see what happens. I do need some extra horizontal edges so we can have it waving in the wind. Okay, so I'll just bring this right down like that. That's good. Bring that across. I'll just pull these up a little bit. So just, you can just, so it's just not got that bottom edge, and that's cool. There you go. So now we just need to swift loop horizontally across. How's that? Have we got edges selected? Let's just select our edge like this. We can straighten up the verts, so don't worry about that. Yeah, probably about that much. That's cool. Okay, so now we just need to straighten these up. Turn on snap and just move them up into position and snap them to that height. Make sure you preserve UVs as selected still. And now snap and just bring that down so it's a bit more even, because we're going to get these blowing in the wind, and in a minute when we build our actual clumps of grass, we're going to tell Max we're going to change the colors of the verts on here to hold it into position. Like black, it'll be black down here, our vert transparency color, and then it'll gradually get whiter and whiter as we get to the top, which means the top will sway more while the bottom stays static. Okay, so there's our first piece. Oops, turn that off. So that's the first piece. Let's get our, in fact, let's just get the pivot in its center for now. Move it up and down, snap it, grab that vert on the edge and just pull it down so it's on ground zero, like that. Now change our pivot, so it's effect pivot only, right click, and on Z just make that 0. There we go. So there's our first piece of grass. So ready for creating some. So we make these, and we make all of these, and we separate them all out, and then build some sort of crosshairs and shapes, clumpy shapes out of these. So next one I'll do a nice green grass. See, and the great thing about this is once we've got it all out, and once we've set all these up, we can go in and re-render this. We can change the colors of that and spit it back out, and it will just change. We won't have to go through all this again. And not only that, when we did render these out, if you want to add texture to this grass, or you want to add texture to the leaves, that's fine too. You can do that on your initial render. When you render these leaves out, you want to put a texture on here, you can do that too. That's fine, and it'll give it a bit more. But when you put texture on it, just make sure it's not got any lighting on it. In fact, we're going to be doing this for our trees, so I'll show you then. That'd be the best thing. Okay, so this is our second piece of grass. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to let you separate the rest of them. Okay, so otherwise this video is going to go on far too long and you're going to get bored watching me separate bits of grass. So do next, so pull it out holding shift, so you've got detach, clone to object. I can't remember what we called the first one. I think it was, I don't know, let's just call this grass clump 02. Turn that off. What do I call that? Dead grass 01. That's fine. That's fine because we're going to join them all up in a minute anyway. So this is grass clump 02. Okay, so it's already got some of our. Let's make sure our preserve UVs is still ticked on. Yeah, make sure that's selected. Okay, so we can keep that edge. Just move it down as our. We'll keep that edge too, just move it down. That one we could probably get rid of. Control backspace. And that one, control backspace. And control backspace, we don't need those. Okay, so we make a split down the middle. Like this, just to keep that peak. Change to verts. Make sure we got move. Verts. Okay, so we're going to move this down just like we did before. Turn snap off. Don't need that on. We can move that in. Make sure you get all of that. Okay, and we can move that right in. Let's just undo that. Let's just go and make sure. Okay, now try that again, like so. There's our biggest saving in terms of transparency, I think. Okay, so there's our second clump of grass. Let's get the pivot point in position. So you can bring it down to 0 on the floor. Snap it to the ground and then put effect pivot at 0. So just right click on that, Z, make that 0, like that. Okay, turn off snap again, turn that off. So that's quite a big clump. Look how big that is compared to that box, and that's massive. Let's just bring this forward. So they're both huge, so we don't want them that big, clearly. Otherwise we'll be walking through a forest of grass. We probably want them, yeah, half that. So select these two, scale them down. In fact, we need to scale them universally so that it's consistent. Let's just see where that brings us. Okay, so that's nearly a meter high grass. Is that good? I mean, we want it exaggerated. We do want exaggerated grass, and like I said, we can always come back in and tweak it after, so it's not a big deal. Snap. So make it as big as you want, really. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to go for quite tall grass. My tallest grass is actually quite tall. It's 0.7 of a meter high, which is long grass, that is. But that's cool. I'm going to leave it like that for now. Okay, so now I want you to separate all these and separate each leaf individually, just like I've done there. And I'll see you when it's done.